Hello again, I'm Jenny Luddington,
And I'm Sue Allsworth,
and we're speaking to you again live from the womb room.
which is my therapy room. There is a reason why it's called the womb room. As you found out from last week, I had a hysterectomy, and my womb wasn't exactly wasn't a very pleasant place to be. So I have created a safe womb, creative room for anyone and everyone to be in. So
Absolute sanctuary for all.
sanctuary for all.
Now, this week is week 4 in our 12-week vlog, and today we are going to be talking about stopping all criticism.
Oh, that is a good one, and that's probably going to hit a nerve on quite a lot of us, as we criticise ourselves and others a lot more than we realise. If you could actually record yourself throughout the whole day and then go back and listen to it, I bet that there would be an awful lot more negative. Even if you think you're a positive person, there would be an awful lot more negative than you realise about yourself and about others, about life, about the government. There's a lot to be criticise in the world.
But it's that, what is the criticism serving? To be critical of something because you want to change it is fine. But when we're talking about changes in ourselves, if we're critical of ourselves and are coming at the things that we might want to change about ourselves from a place of fear and loving, and not accepting ourselves as we are, we're going to not make positive changes, because that criticism is in place. It's saying, I'm not enough, I'm not slim enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not earning enough money.
And also,
it's coming from a place of lack.
It's also coming from a place of comparison, which is another thing that we do very automatically in the world, that we are comparing ourselves to either what society thinks and believes that we should be or shouldn't be. There's that should again, and it's comparing yourself even to the old you and the new you. That's comparing does actually do no good whatsoever, and you end up criticizing yourself because, oh, I used to be slimmer, or I used to eat healthier, or I remember the days when I used to exercise a lot more. And then you get onto another loop of self-sabotaging. How have you criticised yourself over the years?
So many ways. How have I criticised myself? Let's think of one. And even then, even going into a critical place, you just think, oh, what are all the ways that are wrong with me? And so, right, just to pick one, I would say was touched on last week about changing jobs. So the big stick was, why didn't I do it sooner?
And we had to listen to this for quite some time. We had to listen to the story, we had to listen to the drama, we had to listen to the whole thing quite often. And that's good because, you know, to a certain degree, because you've got to get it out of your system.
You've got to process it.
You've got to process it. You need to be heard as well. If it goes on and on and on and on.
Sometimes you just need that gentle hand on the shoulder.
Oh, bless you. You think I'm gentle?
No, not particularly, but
I was going to say,
I'm not
gentle. I'm not gentle. I'm kind of like, really? Really? You really think that? Oh, do you think you should be doing that? Whereas Jenny is the gentle, subtle,
people whisperer.
And I'm probably a little bit direct. But that's because I know from my journey, sometimes subtle isn't enough. Sometimes you need someone to come along and go, make you accountable for what it is that you're saying constantly, thinking constantly. Go, are you aware? Do you realise how much you're actually saying this? And that it's great, and I'm so glad, you know, that you changed your job and everything. But actually, you need to stop that now because you're in a completely different place, you're in a completely different job, and your story is now different.
Yeah.
So start saying the story in
Yeah.
a more a positive way, rather than to keep criticizing the old, which, to be fair, been, gone, done. There's nothing more you can change about it. There's nothing more you can do about it. You could go around in circles asking yourself, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? For a long, long time. But it doesn't matter the why, to be quite honest. It matters that you've changed it now, and that's what you need to focus on.
And celebrate.
Definitely. And we definitely know how to celebrate. Non-alcoholic, all good, clean living stuff, good days out, but we try to celebrate even the small things, because we know that we have come from a place of criticism, not necessarily from our home lives, but from society, from school, from friends, and friends that think, I'm sure in my negative days, when I was very critical of others, therefore I was actually being very critical of myself.
Yeah.
I had very high expectations of myself, and therefore I had very high expectations of everyone around me. And guess what? Everyone failed, because I failed myself as well. And I've learnt to bring those expectations down on others, and therefore I've lowered it on myself. And it's learning to not criticize. It's just learning to accept that, good phrase of mine, if I haven't used this before, I'm actually doing the best that I can in that given moment, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, if any of you follow kind of the ideas about the law of attraction, if we're wanting to make positive changes in our lives, but all we're doing is being critical of ourselves and what we're not doing, focusing on that, what are we going to attract? Are we going to think, right, I should lose more weight, and then be thinking, oh, I've eaten a chocolate bar, on the diet, I'll go and eat 3 chocolate bars, or do we think, well, I could make these changes, and if I slip, or if I make a mistake, or I don't meet the expectation that I had for myself, it's okay.
We're only human at the end of the day. Nobody can is perfect, and anyone who thinks they're perfect has probably got some serious inner self criticisms, doubts, and judgments going on that you wouldn't even know about. A lot of people over the years think that I have always been confident and bubbly because that's what I've put out there to fool people. But actually, inside, I was screaming criticism of myself, constant judgment of myself, and that then lapped into friends and family and work and all sorts of life. And I have to admit, I don't know. There's certain friends back from past. I've got no idea how they put up with me, and some of them just didn't. They moved on, and I don't blame them. I think looking back on me, I would have done it a lot sooner than a lot of them did. So fair play to them. But now I'm very mindful of. I can catch a negative thought quite quickly now because I've been doing a lot of the work for quite some time. And if I suddenly hear a new, it's not new because it's hidden in the subconscious, but if I hear a criticism that's not popped up for a while, I can catch myself on it, and I know the tools, I know the work to do. Where's it come from? Is it mine? Where do I lovingly shove it back in someone else's face, or bat it out of the park, as I quite like to visualize in rounders or baseball? You're just batting that criticism, and just think to myself, I'm doing the best that I can.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. It might be that I've had lack of sleep. If I've had lack of sleep, I am not a nice person. I am a grumpy person. I'll be the first to admit that, and therefore myself, it's easier with lack of sleep for self-criticism, self-doubt to come creeping back in and to overflow onto others. unknowingly, because I'm not monitoring every single word that comes out of my mouth. The automatic pilot does go on, and then a whole load of garbage can come out, and before I've known it, it's like, oh my god, I've done it again. Then I go into the, oh my god, I've done it again, what an awful person I am. And I have to stop that and accept that at that time I was just doing the best I can. If there's any apologies to be made, I try to make them the best of my ability. How do you stop? How do you become aware of self-criticisms these days?
I think it's actually more of a thing that I've learned from you, so put it where it's due. But yeah, in a fan club.
Oh yes,
In your own inner fan club, because it's great to get positive comments and compliments from others. But going back to what we said last week about filling your own well, you've got to celebrate your achievements. You've got to think every day you're doing your best. You're doing good. Everything you do well, you say, you nailed that. You're awesome. I say awesome a lot and I apologise now. But you're awesome.
I have to also, you saying that, there's another phrase that I like to use an awful lot, and that is, tomorrow is another day. You can try it all over again. Next minute is another minute. I can do it all over again.
There's always a redo.
There's always a reset and a restart button. Just because I've said something right now that might have offended someone, and quite often I used to really be conscious of how I was talking to not offend people, whereas I've now actually learned this is just who I am. It's accepting myself for who I am. I am not a quiet, shy, retiring person. I have not got a quiet voice. I have not got a quiet energy about me. And it's learning to actually embrace that rather than see maybe other people's judgments of that and therefore trying to adapt myself. Whereas actually, I can't adapt myself. The only thing and person I know how to be, or I'm learning how to be, is me.
Yeah.
And the best version of me that I can be in that moment.
You know, you can't please all of the people all of the time, and you shouldn't try to, because what other people think about you is actually none of your business.
So on that note, once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for giving us some time to watch us, and I hope that some of the tips that we've picked up has sparked and resonated something with you, and we would love to hear from you as always. You can find me at AuthenticSmile.com, Facebook, Authentic Smile. You can find Jenny
at All Heart Led on Facebook, and if you follow me there, you'll find links to my blog.
So until week 5, I think we're now going to be moving on to,
which is going to be about loving your negatives.
So there's a common theme, as you can see, going on here, but it takes a lot of work and a lot of practice. So keep trying, keep practicing, and doing the best that you can. Until next time, bye.
See you on the flip.